Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
Watch your profanity.
Right, I'm sorry.
You ever notice how traveling makes your mind roll thunder? Like a train moving down the track. Except you don't know where the fuck that mine train is headed. And then all of a sudden, plop, an idea shits in your head. And you think that shit smells good.
When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
Coca-Cola.
À boa tarde a todos.
In Egypt, we don't say don't touch that. We say...
Well, down south in America, we got a variety of ways of saying things, so I'm only going to show you my favorite two, okay? Now, the first one got a little bit of sarcasm in it, okay? They're going to say something like, go ahead if you're bad. Now, let me tell you, no matter where you come from or what you've been told, I'm letting you know right now that you are not bad, okay? You ain't bad, you ain't nothing. Now, the second one is probably the most important because it's the most popular. It's real quick, 2 sound effects. Don't touch it.
Tools to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted.
Makes them fall in love with him. He uses sex as a manipulation tool, per his words. Not me.
I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted.
So yeah, on corporatetape.com I have my PhD program, and that is PhD is a pimp and hose degree that I'm clever. And that teaches basically how I got girls, how I met girls, how I got girls to like me, how I got girls to fall in love with me to work on webcam for me.
Oh, and you're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So you'll have a webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen, come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear it from a girl. And this is where your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Because that's what I did. That was my MO, was find girls, make them love me, and make them work for me.
And then these were women who've never done adult work. They've never been interested in doing adult work, but he would find ways to isolate them from their friends and family, make them go broke, and then try to get them into the cam business so he can make a profit off them. So regardless of either whether you think that's legal or not, it's gotta be some evil shit. To isolate somebody from their friends and family just so you can make financial gain?
This video is brought to you by Surfshark.
No matter where I'm...
And then Carla had the nerve to tell me he's not breathing.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping him coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its... blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Greetings, my fellow scallywags, scoundrels, and ne'er-do-wells. Oh man, do I have a lot. Oh boy, this is gonna be, yeah. This definitely has to be one of the most, if not the most, crucial videos I've ever made. And there's no point in putting this stuff off anymore. Like, what are we doing? Fiddling with our fucking genitals while Rome is burning? No, go out screaming at least, Porn. Prawn. I guess you can't even fucking sit. Fuck. Porn, masturbation, sex. Sexy time. Demon time. Whatever the fuck you call it. Leave aside, I think for a lot of us, especially in between the boomers and Gen X, it's more so been like, I guess, yeah, don't do drugs, don't hang out with the opposite sex, whatever, until it's time for you to reproduce more stupid idiots, right? Then you should be able to, like, this is the fucking stupid thing about religious upbringings or cultural religious upbringings, right? They repress you, right? They repress your very fucking biological urges, your physiological fucking urges, right? They make excuses as to why they're repressing you. But then they also want you to breed rampantly, right? But only in a sudden context, in very specific sudden context, right? You wonder why. You wonder why the marriage rate started dropping during the 1970s, right? That same sexual revolution. You wonder fucking why. Because people were like, I waited my entire life, chastity, whatever, and for the most unappealing or I don't know, not very spectacular, sexual encounter that, they were promised, right? And again, given the current era that we're living in, I'm not encouraging you to stop having sex. I'm not encouraging you to have sex, right? I'm not pushing you either way. And the fucked up thing is we have been subconsciously primed we've been subconsciously fuck, man, I can't even say it. Like, I'm literally fighting with myself. We've been subconsciously desensitized gradually, right? I'm gonna link a few different people, right? And, go definitely subscribe to their channels, watch their stuff, watch their videos in full, please, because, man, it needed to be talked about. It needed to be fucking talked about. And we're at a place where we can't, like I said, what the fuck do we have to lose, right? We have nothing to lose except our fucking mind chains, right? The first time I can say I ever masturbated was when? I think I must have been 11 or 12, yeah. I was literally fiddling around. I was like, I was trying to feel good, right? I was trying to feel good. Then when it happens, I was like, whoa, fuck. Right? And it wasn't necessarily that can I say our parents shit? Like, oh boy. I'll probably link that video of David Goggins talking about his father, right? And how, like, especially when he said his brother could write 8 stories, right? I talk, a little bit about my older brother, right? And as much as really the emotion is disdain, right? I'm not going to pretend like, we're blood with fuck you, man. Like, he, and I have to admit that he himself could write 8 fucking books, right? Leave alone the shit I've told you, right? My older siblings, like, if they could actually be frank, they'd have so much more. But again, a lot of this has happened in front of my own eyes too, right? I remember when we were moving out of our house and my dad was, my brother was like, he was all over the fucking place. Like, man, the Western world's influence on children is something else. But anyways, he was cleaning out my brother's room and my brother just had shelves upon shelves of magazines, of porn magazines, right? He's 19, he's born in the 80s, right? 80s babies. he had shelves upon shelves of porn mags, right? And then, my dad's like, look at this. Oh, the Bible says it's better you cut your hand off than in making you sin. But if that was logically consistent, then a lot of these fucking breeders would be handless right now, whatever, right? That was probably the first time I'd seen a huge amount of porn, right? I didn't masturbate to porn, right? Until when? Like, what a fucking weeb, right? I can't remember how I got to it, but I was watching this video on YouTube, and this is like early YouTube. This is what, like 2006, 2007, yeah. Early YouTube, right? I was watching a vid that was like kind of hentai-ish, right? Like, they had girls drawn and like, you could see the ass, the underwear, all that. And I was watching this in the living room, right? I still remember the song that was fucking playing. Such a Lonely Day. Like, the fucking ancestor of weebs, just like, oh man. Such a lonely day. Anyways, I was watching the vid. Then my mom stumbles across me watching it, and I'm like, oh, like literally like a deer in the headlights, right? Then I started slowly. I did not start watching porn, right? I was just literally experimenting. Maybe like I'd see a kind of fine woman or something, right? And then, you go and like, I don't know, rub one out, right? But I was doing it so recklessly in a way. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Maybe it's also that like dynamic of corporal punishment type of environment, and also trying to uncover your own sexual identity, right? So I can say maybe the first time I got close to porn was, around that age, that's 11, 12, right? We were at a sleepover, right? Was it? Yeah, we were at a sleepover, and, someone turned the computer on, like we were watching it. Then I left the room, and I came back, right? But I pretended to be the guy's mom, so I knocked the door. I was like, what exactly are you boys watching? My friend was Chinese, so I was like, I imitated his mom so perfectly. And he opened the door. They scrambled. Like, part of me knew that this isn't a good thing that we're doing, but at the same time, was it bad, right? It's like that was probably the first time, right? Then I really can't remember. Like, maybe there was one.
It doesn't look as if things are going the way he originally planned them. Or else why would he revive me in this strange way? Who is the caster of the reanimation jutsu? I have no idea.
My name is Kabuto. I'm his collaborator.
Speaking to me through a reanimation link. What a sneaky one you are.
When I was 10 years old, I had a sleepover in this basement with my friend Brock. We stayed up late playing a little game called Dead Rising. He brought it over and the game absolutely floored me. I never played anything like it before. It was love at first sight. We'd take turns playing, dismembering zombies, and getting scared when nighttime came. But Dead Rising wasn't the only thing Brock wanted to show me that night. He said to me, "Do you want to see something else?" He turned over and whipped out his big iPod Touch and showed me a website, The Hub, a website full of clothes-free adults having fun together. Brock showed me a video of some hard, rough fun having between a handsome man and a beautiful lady. I'd never seen anything like that before. It overloaded my mind. I blacked out. But I had to keep watching. What was this mysterious thing Brock was showing me? And I'd ask him questions like, why is she moaning? Does it hurt her? What's squirting? Why are they in a pool? 10-year-old me was unbelievably confused by the hub, and all Brock had to say was, maybe you're more into lesbian stuff. So yeah, that's how
ruined my life. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. Now, the question is, did porn actually ruin my life? Did it actually do such a thing? Yes and no, because porn and sex has been such a prevalent part of my life since I was a young boy, and it's transformed into things. Now, I can't put it all on porn because everybody doesn't go through this or suffer through this, but everybody in some form suffers from ED or the misconceptions of what porn projects into the mind of men and women, into society, and the expectations of others. My name is Kyoko, and I'm a recovering porn and sex addict. So with that being said, let's dive right into my story. Click my link tree, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook. You can click my link tree. It'll say sex addiction, and that's an interview to where I talk about all the things that happened. And I don't go into great detail as I will, but I merely touch on the surface on the things that have happened to me and things that influenced this and enabled my addiction. I was 14 years old at the time. I was going through a lot of behavior issues. I was placed inside of a behavior school because I was expelled 6th and 7th grade for different reasons I won't get into. But I was just going through a lot of emotional trauma, bunch of grief. My grandmother just died when I was 8 years old. I was still processing that. I was just beginning to understand it because when I was 8, I didn't understand it. My oldest brother just died, and I found that out in 6th grade. I was bullied in 5th grade, and I made sure to not have that ever happen again to where I would be getting bullied. I was living in a poverty hood area. I was suffering from things in the household that I won't get into, but I was basically lashing out and blacking out basically into certain things to where I was acting out because I didn't know how to communicate. I was having emotional trauma, and I was placed into a behavior school after I was expelled in 7th grade. And I stayed there throughout the whole 8th grade year. And in this time, I won't say I was like this guy or this big shot, but there was a bunch of girls that were attracted to me there. And there was a girl, I can't remember her name for the life of me, but it was a very difficult name to pronounce. I do remember that. And she was very into me. And I was not into her in the same way because of the age difference. Because she was 12, I was 14. So even at that age, I felt like that was wrong, that she was so young and I viewed her in a different way than she viewed me. And she would always be excited to see me. Hey, how you doing? Or that's my husband, that's my boyfriend right there. And she would always try to come up and talk to me at lunch or every time I passed her classroom or everything like that. So, and we would ride on the van together in the morning and in the afternoon when we leave. There was a big van that if you lived in a certain area, you would get on this one van and the van would take all the kids and drop them off if you lived in a certain area, and then other kids would get on another.
Bigger than you, blindsides you, and shows you adult content. When you're that young and you get shown something that dirty, you don't know what to do. You don't know if you should look away. You just can't comprehend it. It's too much, too quick. I mean, you're 10 years old. You're just starting to find girls or boys attractive. But you're only curious. You want to kiss a girl. You want to hold her hand. And that's just chapter 1 of discovering your sexuality. You're moving at a good pace, but then your friend Brock came over and showed you adult content on his iPod, and now you're on chapter 12 or 300, and you didn't know you could do that with a penis, and that's where boobs come from. It's not beautiful. You don't even think it's sexy. You're in an unfinished basement watching a 360p video of a girl rubbing another girl's like this. And Dead Rising is paused a yardstick away from you.
I've covered wars,
Maybe I'm getting...
I buckled my pants back up, I zipped them up, and I went into the house. And in that moment, I discovered masturbation, but not the traditional sense. I discovered it by laying on the bed and grinding or gyrating on the bed, and then, the release. So, in that, there was a thing that formed because I was already discovering porn. Where I lived, there was a library right next to my house. So I would just walk to the library. I didn't have internet at the time. So I would just walk to the library and watch porn on the library computer because at the time they didn't have those sites blocked. And once they began blocking them, you could still find porn on Daily Motion. And I would watch that on the library computer. And I would choose a specific computer to where if a person was walking up close to me, I could switch the computer screen to something else so they couldn't see. And then so the desk was behind me. Let's say I'm here, there's another computer here, and then there's a desk here behind this computer. And I would choose this computer because I could see this person coming. And then there was the main desk here, like a little bit of front, but to the side of my computer. And I would always choose that computer, and that formed that addiction. And then when that girl did that to me, it all went into something else, leading into watching porn at home, eventually getting internet, buying porn on the TV, and my mom finding out about it, you know, because I didn't understand any of the stuff. And all that stuff was like softcore porn on the TV and all that, where you could buy it for like $10, $20, $30 and shit like that. Not knowing I'm spending my mother's money. I'm just like, oh, I just get this. Like, it was so weird for me, but it was, I don't know. It was just a very weird experience for me, you know, and it transformed into, I would do nothing else but watch porn. I wouldn't watch TV. I would just watch porn all day until my mom came home. It transformed into, I formed a porn addiction to where I would watch porn all day, watch porn while I ate, watch porn when I woke up, watch porn before my mom came home, sometimes even when my mom was home. And it was I didn't understand at the time how bad that was for me, because it would be very consistent throughout my teenage life, especially being that I didn't have any real relationships until a certain age, you know, and I didn't have any real friends, you know, that could take me out of it. I didn't really do or have anything that could take me out of it, because by the time I was in high school, I had dropped out in like 9th grade year because I didn't understand the work, because I was away from school, regular schooling. I was in this behavior school where I was isolated, and they would only teach very remedial stuff, you know, very stuff that you already knew, or it was very simple in eighth grade, because it was a behavior school and they just wanted you to get your act together. They didn't really care about the education. So,
on the other hand, confused me since a young age, skewed my perception of beauty, brain fog, laziness. It's hard to tackle any of your problems after nutting too. It makes you tired. So when you get in the habit of watching the stuff that makes you insecure and then nutting to be tired, and you're a teenager, you're just like, and like, are you supposed, so yeah, Dead Rising was crazy for a 10-year-old, but was destructive. It would be absurd of me to say that all of my problems come from watching naked people do it on the internet. But it didn't help. It's not good for a grown boy. It's not oatmeal. Luckily, I kept my horniness pretty private. Stuck to the internet. Played Club Penguin, then I googled big boobs. But other kids that I went to school with, they wear their horniness on their sleeve. Now the stories I'm about to tell you, I'll let you decide if they're a result of internet sex brain, or is this just a product of growing up and being mad horny?
Stop! What the hell are you doing?
In middle school, I had friends who watched porn on their iPod Touch during class. They'd hide it under the desk and lean back, just watch hypnotized. And at lunch table, they discussed their favorite actresses. They'd compare photos and videos, share links, just review stuff. It was like the board of porn, but it was a 6th grade lunch table. They'd even talk about their girlfriends. I remember one day on the bus, Matt showed me a picture on his phone that was so zoomed in you couldn't tell what it was. And he was like, hey, do you know what this is? Of course I don't know, it's all pixelated. He slowly zooms out to reveal it was a nude picture of his girlfriend. He zoomed out from her pubic hair, her dark pubic hair, and then zoomed out to reveal a full-blown nude of a girl. His girlfriend. So since he had been sent this picture and he didn't find it online, it was a trophy. He got to show it all around school. In high school, these kids got even cooler. I remember Charlie one time jacked off into his basketball shorts during biology class. And another kid did it with his car. Somehow. Now, you think you would keep information like having sex with your car private. But no, this kid brought the condom he used to school and showed it around. Applaud that man for practicing safe sex.
Forming this porn addiction, watching it all day, because I was doing nothing. And then, well, I did do something eventually, but I'm not going to get into all that. So that's a whole different video. But I just basically watched porn all day in my whole 9th grade year, right? So that's all I did. I didn't go back to school. I didn't do anything the rest of that 9th grade year. So I just, in that time, I would watch movies, watch TV, watch porn, sometimes just watch porn every single day, not doing anything else, you know? And that's very damaging because I don't think people understand how damaging porn can be if you watch or consume too much of it. And to be frank with you, there's a lot of people that say porn is okay, that say it's healthy to masturbate and things like that. I read a book called Your Brain on Porn, and it really gave me validity to everything I was feeling like I have this issue. Like everybody's treating it like it's not an issue. It's like, oh, you just like sex a lot. Oh, you like porn a lot. That's cool. That's dope. But it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, it consumes my life. And it's not okay. There's a lot of people. See, this is what porn does, right? Porn can make you feel like you're alone because you're not connecting with anybody else. You're connected to the screen. And here's what porn does for casual watchers. It creates expectations upon other people during sex. Like, oh, so you like this type of thing during sex, and then you try it in real life. Oh, women like this type of thing during sex because I watched it on porn. Then you try it, and then it's not like it seems. Or women have this expectations on men's size, and in real life, men are not like that because porn highlights all the good stuff or all the nasty stuff. Because what they do is they make you keep watching by bringing in the serotonin, activating the serotonin in your brain. So where this is one of the things I learned in the book, by the way, is that they activate the serotonin to where you keep watching, and then sometimes you even get into porn that you don't even like. You're not even attracted to this type of porn. You wouldn't even do this porn in real life, but because the other porn that you watch may not excite you anymore, may not spark that serotonin in your brain, and now you're looking for more extreme levels of porn. So now you might, instead of going man and woman porn, you might go woman porn, or might go men porn, guy on guy. You might go transgender porn. You might go, even bondage porn or whatever else, and you might convince yourself that you like it. And here's what porn also does. Porn is one of the reasons why women and transgender women are viewed the way they are viewed today. Men look at transgender women the way they do because of porn, the fantasy of it. Oh, the serotonin in their brain. Oh, I want to try that. I want to do that. And then you'll see so many men afraid to actually be seen with a transgender woman or to date them, but they have no problem having sex with them or even filming it as long as they wear a mask. But there's a thing of they're fulfilling a fantasy for them. That's what they look at a lot of transgender women for. And the reason that is because of porn. That's what stems from it. There's also a attraction there that could be possible. There's also a curiosity there if you never watch transgender porn. There's also could be that there too. But a lot of it is because men see porn and they want to try something exotic or something that's a fantasy.
One or two times, like watching it in class with another guy on other people's phones, right? And I turned 14. Yeah, was it 14, 15? Around the same time, I also I was trying out, drugs, right? They didn't really stick, luckily, right? But that's a story I'll get into. But yeah, around 14, 15, I can't necessarily say porn was a huge problem. I didn't have friends, right? I was the fat loner, right? Didn't really have friends. To be honest, I think I slept through like at least a year and a half of high school, right? I don't remember much, right? I remember I remember getting into conflicts a lot, but again, little pricks with their little fucking mommy or daddy issues, right? And in fact, I'll even tell you about the first time, well, not the first time, I guess it was the second time I got into a fight in that school. It was the second time, but it was also kind of like the first time, because like, oh man, it was such a such, I don't know, I don't know, man. Anyways, maybe it fits into the story, but so one day, I was, minding my business, right? Then like the cool kids, like I think it was, I was literally sitting in the library, like, so they decided, so like the cool kids, right, decided to like surround me, and then there's this one guy, like the tallest guy in the class, so they like surrounded me, they're like, literally inciting me, they're like, just saying all types of shit. I'm like, whatever, like really, like literally grinding my fucking gears, right? Oh, it does fit in because of Andrew Tate, but anyways, so they surround me, right? They're inciting, then we get back to class, they're still inciting me. Then one of them comes to my desk, right? I go sit at my desk, I'm like angry, but I'm still like, whatever. One of them comes to my desk, right? And then he's like, oh, you're going to fight him. I'm like, you know what? I just turned off my whatever logic that was working, walked over to him. I don't know, maybe his dad fucking slapped him up or something. And then he came to school and he was like, maybe try me, right? So I went over to his desk. He's like, what, slap me, slap me, do it. At that point, I didn't give a shit. I slapped him, right? Then, he gets all fumed up, right? Throws shit at me, punches me once or twice. Then I punch him back. Like, I punch him and I start punching. I just start going and going. He falls. I get on the ground. I start punching him. Then his bitch friends pull him off me, right? So you can say he lost that first round, right? Then I go back to my seat, right? Then he comes back. He's like, you want to try again? I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Like, literally, I was on my own, right? So I'm like, fucking fine. I was punching him. I was like jumping, like he literally like, I don't know, at that point, maybe he was like, I was shocked. Oh man, fuck. Man, Teen Me he did not have a good time. I was literally like jumping, but it was some ridiculous shit, man. Fuck. Right? I could even hear people laughing in the background. I'm just like, fuck off, like, leave me alone, right? And his friends are still intervening. And then he's like punching me in the fucking face, right? I'm not feeling right. You're feeling the adrenaline and everything. Then finally a teacher comes in. And like when I go and check my injuries, I have like a fucking massive ass black. My right eye was fucking massive. Like it was black, right? There was blood. My nose was bleeding. I had like a bruised lip, right? So the guy who's like in charge of first aid took me, right? He's like, they're all watching this. Oh man, fucking high school. Oh man, anyways. Right? They're watching all this happen, right? So he goes, he gives me like whatever first aid. Then the guy I was fighting comes to the first aid room, like looking scared, right? And he's like, oh, this guy, he hurt my finger or something. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, man. Then, that wasn't even like the worst part. I guess the worst part was like now coming home with that injury, right? Because I made up some bullshit lie that didn't even make sense. And I came home, right? Then the dean obviously called us. He called my dad to school. And I don't know. It was a whole thing because like I had to my eye had to heal, right? So I only missed like one day of school. I only missed one day. I had to miss like the Monday. And then, I went to school the next day, but like my eye was swollen for like almost 2 weeks, right? So I'm like walking around in school with a fucking swollen ass eye. I'm like, what? You know, it's like just add on more bullshit. You know, why not? Who gives a shit? You know. And then like these like seniors stopped and asked me now what went on. I was like, yeah, I got into a fight, whatever. And they're like, oh, you're not supposed to say you got into a fight and you got hit. Like, so what the fuck do you want me to say? Like, I tripped on my eye? Like, oh my God. Anyways. Now, how this also fits in, right? So our school, it was a Catholic school, right? So they had this really rigid like system of like prefects and school leaders. They had like a head boy, a head girl, school captains, right? So the school captains would do such. Now back then, people did a lot of fucking drugs, and this is before this era, which is I can't even keep up with this fucking era right now, right? I mean, it was fucked up back then, but whoa, right now. So yeah, one day they did a search, right? And I don't know what they found. They found somehow guys had porn CDs. Man, I feel so old already. They found porn CDs. Right? And then so now like the leaders were lecturing us. They were like, don't you guys, listen when we tell you that this stuff is bad for you, blah, 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 blah. You're still in that experimental age, or in that like, I'm going to show everybody, But again, some part of me was like, man, these guys kind of know what they're talking about. Little did I know, right? And now this is now, like, I'm still not even watching that much porn. Like, even like, I'm watching hentai occasionally, I literally printed fucking photos of, I can't remember which anime fucking character. I printed them. I laugh right now because there's so much available at your fingertips in seconds. I'm laughing, but I'm crying. Yeah, I printed them and then I hid them on a suitcase, right? And of course, at the same time my dad was planning to go on a trip, right? He just happened to take that exact suitcase. So when I came back upstairs, I didn't find the suitcase.
Hey guys, what's up? JK with Elevated Recovery here. Now guys, porn addiction aside, the one thing that sucks the most is relapsing. And in my years of living with porn addiction, I've stayed off porn and relapsed more times than I choose to remember. And I actually vividly remember the first time that I relapsed after my longest streak without porn or masturbation. Now at that time, it was such a challenge to even go 1 week without pornography. But this time, I had managed 2 full months. But I relapsed on day 62. After that relapse, I felt 3 main things. And the first was disbelief and confusion. Like, how did this happen? I was doing so well. The next thing was shame. And next was I felt less confident in myself. I basically looked at myself as someone who couldn't be trusted to keep his word. Now, if you're watching this, there's a good chance that you can relate quite well to all 3 of those emotions. I'd like you to do something for yourself for a moment, though. Think back to your last relapse, specifically the week before your relapse. Now, do me a favor and honestly answer these questions that I'm going to ask you. Did you have a recovery plan? Did you have boundaries or actions that you were going to take if you were triggered? Were you checking in with anyone regularly? Anyone at all? Like, was there someone who was helping you out with your accountability? Was there someone keeping you accountable? Were you being proactive about your recovery? This means, like, were you being aware of the places that you went the media that you exposed yourself to, or the thoughts that you were having? Or were you just a little bit more relaxed about everything? Did you have a self-care plan, a support network of people who actually understood your problem? You know, that's part of self-care. Were you meditating? Were you using affirmations? Were you exercising? Were you eating right? Were you managing every stressful situation that came your way? Were you getting enough sleep or taking time off to relax? The truth is, if you relapsed, there's bound to be a no as the answer to some of those questions, or a no to all of them. Now, all those questions that I just asked are related to something called recovery. When you are in recovery, your brain will inevitably reboot with time, and you'll be free of your compulsive behavior with pornography. And it's that simple. Now, it's simple, but it's not easy.
On the other hand, confused me since a young age, skewed my perception of beauty, brain fog, laziness. It's hard to tackle any of your problems after nutting too. It makes you tired. So when you get in the habit of watching the stuff that makes you insecure and then nutting to be tired, and you're a teenager, you're just like, and like, are you supposed? So yeah, Dead Rising was crazy for a 10-year-old, but was destructive. It would be absurd of me to say that all of my problems come from watching naked people do it on the internet. But it didn't help. It's not good for a grown boy. It's not oatmeal. Luckily, I kept my horniness pretty private. Stuck to the internet. Played Club Penguin, then I googled big boobs. But other kids that I went to school with, they wear their horniness on their sleeve. Now the stories I'm about to tell you, I'll let you decide if they're a result of internet sex brain, or is this just a product of growing up and being mad horny?
Stop! What the hell are you doing?
In middle school, I had friends who watched porn on their iPod Touch during class. They'd hide it under the desk and lean back, just watch hypnotized. And at lunch table, they discussed their favorite actresses. They'd compare photos and videos, share links, just review stuff. It was like the board of porn, but it was a 6th grade lunch table. They'd even talk about their girlfriends. I remember one day on the bus, Matt showed me a picture on his phone that was so zoomed in you couldn't tell what it was. And he was like, "Hey, do you know what this is?" Of course I don't know, it's all pixelated. He slowly zooms out to reveal it was a nude picture of his girlfriend. He zoomed out from her pubic hair, her dark pubic hair, and then zoomed out to reveal a full-blown nude of a girl. His girlfriend. So since he had been sent this picture and he didn't find it online, it was a trophy. He got to show it all around school. In high school, these kids got even cooler. I remember Charlie one time jacked off into his basketball shorts during biology class. And another kid did it with his car. Somehow. Now, you think you would keep information like having sex with your car private. But no, this kid brought the condom he used to school and showed it around. Applaud that man for practicing safe sex.
Forming this porn addiction, watching it all day, because I was doing nothing. And then, well, I did do something eventually, but I'm not going to get into all that. So that's a whole different video. But I just basically watched porn all day in my whole 9th grade year, right? So that's all I did. I didn't go back to school. I didn't do anything the rest of that 9th grade year. So I just, in that time, I would watch movies, watch TV, watch porn, sometimes just watch porn every single day, not doing anything else, you know? And that's very damaging because I don't think people understand how damaging porn can be if you watch or consume too much of it. And to be frank with you, there's a lot of people that say porn is okay, that say it's healthy to masturbate and things like that. I read a book called Your Brain on Porn, and it really gave me validity to everything I was feeling like I have this issue. Like everybody's treating it like it's not an issue. It's like, oh, you just like sex a lot. Oh, you like porn a lot. That's cool, that's dope. But it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, it consumes my life, and it's not okay. There's a lot of people, see, this is what porn does, right? Porn can make you feel like you're alone because you're not connecting with anybody else. You're connected to the screen. And here's what porn does for casual watchers. It creates expectations upon other people during sex. Like, oh, so you like this type of thing during sex, and then you try it in real life. Oh, women like this type of thing during sex because I watched it on porn. And then you try it, and then it's not like it seems. or women have this expectations on men's size, and in real life, men are not like that, because porn highlights all the good stuff or all the nasty stuff, because what they do is they make you keep watching by bringing in the serotonin, activating the serotonin in your brain. So where, this is one of the things I learned in the book, by the way, is that they activate the serotonin to where you keep watching, and then sometimes you even get into porn that you don't even like. You're not even attracted to this type of porn. You wouldn't even do this porn in real life, but because the other porn that you watch may not excite you anymore, may not spark that serotonin in your brain, and now you're looking for more extreme levels of porn. So now you might, instead of going man and woman porn, you might go woman porn, or you might go men porn, guy on guy. You might go transgender porn. You might go, even bondage porn or whatever else, and you might convince yourself that you like it. And here's what porn also does. Porn is one of the reasons why women and transgender women are viewed the way they are viewed today. Men look at transgender women the way they do because of porn, the fantasy of it. Oh, the serotonin in their brain. Oh, I want to try that. I want to do that. And then you'll see so many men afraid to actually be seen with a transgender woman or to date them, but they have no problem having sex with them or even filming it, as long as they wear a mask. But there's a thing of, they're fulfilling a fantasy for them. That's what they look at a lot of transgender women for. And the reason that is because of porn. That's what stems from it. There's also a attraction there that could be possible. There's also a curiosity there if you never watch transgender porn. There's also could be that there too. But a lot of it is because men see porn and they want to try something exotic or something that's a fantasy.
Doesn't help a grown girl too, probably. Is it a stretch to say that it could exacerbate this behavior for the worse? I mean, if that stuff isn't a product of porn, what is a product of porn is the first time you get with a girl and your dick doesn't have any idea what to do because it's only used to seeing naked girls on the screen. All this behavior makes me think about something Chris Rock said in his Netflix special Tambourine.
And when you watch too much porn, you know what happens? You become like sexually autistic. You develop like sexual autism.
Watching too much porn makes you sexually autistic. Do you want to know what's super sexually autistic? Adult-only video games.
All right.
Dandy. I was still struggling, and I knew it was an issue. But I couldn't stop. I felt like this has become such a big part of my life that I can't stop. And it got to a point to where I have to go to a rehabilitation center. I have to go to a therapist. I have to talk about this. And I took it upon myself to do that, upon my own will. And it helped me a lot. It helped me understand, talking to somebody, why I was doing the feelings I was feeling inside that was making me cling to this so much. And it really helped me a lot. And with porn, even though I came out of that and I got back right into porn and the whole thing again, and it was just, I understood more of why I was doing what I was doing, but it was still part of me to the point I couldn't let it go, because I felt like, who am I if I'm not doing this? Who am I if I'm not this person? What am I doing if I'm not doing this? What do I do with myself if I feel the emotions or the hormones come up? And it was simple. Communicate with my partner. Tell them. Let them know. I want this right now. Or I'm going to...
Google pretty girls, son. You looking to get yourself eaten alive by zombies? What?
Is there a way to stop eternal horniness? Is there a way to calculate the effect porn has on a young mind? Can we tell when it's gone too far? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we can prevent kids from drinking Belle Delphine bathwater. Does she still sell that, by the way? And I don't want the internet policed. I don't want to stop someone's sexual investigation. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say we don't stop it. We can't stop it. We can only stop ourselves. I'm talking about self-discipline. I'm talking about having the birds and bees conversation. Don't let Brock introduce your son to boobs. I'm talking about 20-year-olds who limit their consumption. I'm talking about feeling shame. I don't think there's much we can do other than be aware of these problems. Dude, erectile dysfunction is on the rise. How ironic. So if we don't feel comfortable after watching, then it's up to us if we keep watching or not. Do you get all bro science about it? Do you go the no-fap route? Do you have a cold turkey? Do you just go free, use your imagination? Do you dopamine detox entirely? What do you do? What do you do to reset your brain or to feel healthy? Honestly, that's up to you. This is just an awesome discussion we had. I'm not here to control your life or anything. I just think you should feel, weird about yourself.
Your music's bad and you should feel bad.
Suitcase, and I found the pic. I'm like, fuck. So he saw them, right? The other time, I was in my room, but this wasn't porn. This was me on Windows Media Player. I was listening to music, but like some of the album covers were a bit, obscene, right? They were a bit, rated M, right? So I'm just listening to music. Then my mom comes in and she's like, "Are those dirty pictures you're watching?" I'm like, "What the fuck? No, it's music." But then again, if you explain that it's music and you start getting into it, you're like, fuck, again, that freeze response, right? And that at that point, that's sort of like that point it led to some type of rigidity that I'm still yet to completely undo. And it's more so when I talk about helicopter parenting, right? There's an element to it that is so weird that you literally can't even feel like you're breathing. Because there was a time, I don't know why, I took the laptop with me into the bathroom, and I was, doing research, right? For research purposes, right? I took the laptop into the bathroom with me. Now, I'm not sure whether or not the door was closed or not, but it was still working for a while, but then at some point it stopped working. Then when I told my parents it wasn't working and they took it to be fixed, and then they took it to the guy to be fixed, my mom was like, "No, I saw him taking it into the toilet with him." So I don't know whether or not she was lurking or whether she was like, I don't know, man, but believe me when I say it just became worse and worse. It has become worse and worse over fucking time, right? Trauma grows, demons grow, Satan grows, right? And funny enough, it's the same people that feed it into your fucking head that, promote it, that need it to grow with you, right? It got to a point where when I was finishing high school and then I was entering into sort of pre-uni, and I started interacting with girls more, much more closer, interacting with girls, basically, yeah. It got to a point where I'm having feelings for girls, or they're having feelings for me, and I can't reciprocate it because, in a way, I was so used to having to work for admiration or like love as we know it, right? It's one of those like middle child overachiever things, right? Mind you, my mom said when she was younger she was a teacher or something, which again fits into this paradigm of why so many teachers are responsible for their own students' failures, right? So many of them, because you just, and again, it's within the family, so you always have this can't fail environment, right? There's nothing. Every fucking thing is high stakes, right? I don't like that's that demented teacher mentality, borderline personality disorder, right? God complex, right? Hyper fucking religiosity. It literally creates a perfect storm of me thinking that, like, how the fuck am I even going to interact with this girl and tell her, like, fuck, yeah, I do like you, I do want to reciprocate this, right? It was such a fucking chaotic time. Like, oh man, it was so fucking chaotic. Oh man. Like, it was fun and chaotic at the same time, right? I can't completely say it was, terrible. But now, when it became a huge problem, okay, no, was it really oh yeah. Yeah, it was a huge problem, like, in uni, right? As with fucking everything, right? It was a huge problem. And then, the friends, like, our friend circle didn't really make it that much better, but at the same time, we're all of age, it's something that we're just doing, Then you also have, like, the sex culture, right? People call it hookup culture or whatever, but euphemisms are killing us, man. Okay. And this is why, for me, like, I could probably say I was a casual chronic porn consumer, right? Was, maybe still am, right? Was. No, literally was. Compared to how bad it was, a casual chronic porn consumer, right? And, my interaction, but it didn't necessarily mess with my interactions with girls, right? Didn't necessarily. Can I say, I don't even know at this point, right? But anyways, in uni, it was really more of a cost benefit type of thing, because at the same time, you're hooking up with people, you're getting drunk, whatever. But at the same fucking time, so many people just don't know fucking how to act, right? You're just hearing cases of R-word and this and that and corpse and what and like, it's just like, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to touch this with a fucking 50-foot pole, right? I don't want to touch I don't even want to be involved in that, right? So what was the much better alternative, right? I gave my meat a good old rub, because, for me, the mission was finish your fucking degree, right? And I did it, right? Now, I always think, like, there's certain women who I'm like, damn, she wouldn't have fucked up my study schedule, would she? Anywho, right? Anywho, the moment I started realizing it became such a huge problem was, like, when we were sitting, a few of my we were literally sitting like four guys, right? And we literally were studying. We were talking, like, I was happy that we would talk about it very openly, right? And we didn't realize, like, talking about it was the first step, right? And it wasn't in a sense like, oh, it's this terrible thing, it's like, hey, this is something that we are dealing with, that we understand, and we can rationalize it to one another, right? And it helped quite a bit, because we started waking up to it with, like, do I need to do this? Maybe this was why, it started a cascade, right? It started a cascade of events. And, again, like, that ability of having people around you that were a lot more open about it. Or not, yeah, more open about it. There were, I don't know, oh, man, shit. you have that, you talk about it, you're like, I remember once, like, this one guy asked me, this porn star who had recently killed herself, sorry. He was asking me if it was cool to still watch her videos. And I was like, I don't know, bruh. I don't know, bruh. I don't know. Right? This isn't to say that, and let me make this clear. I should have made this clear the first time. Exploring your sexuality, discovering your sexuality is not a crime, right? Hear it from Brother Bleak, right? Brother Bleak. I like the sound of that. Hear it from Brother Bleak, right? Brethren Bleak, my fellow Bleak brethren, right? Exploring your sexuality, discovering your sexuality is not a fucking crime. We are physiological beings. You are entitled to it, right? Dare I fucking say you are entitled to understanding your own fucking body, right? Crazy. It's this word that, like, it's trying to stay inside, but I have to say it's what culminates. It's what culminates, right? It's not about whether.
This building isn't in any survey of the quarry.
That's because we use hosts to do most of the surveys. They're programmed to ignore this place. They literally couldn't see it if they were staring right at it.
And these unregistered hosts you told me about?
I don't know. He may have moved them.
What's behind this door?
What door?
What is this place?
It's a remote diagnostic facility. Ford and his partner used them when the park was in beta. I had no idea this one was here. The cottage must have been built on top of it.
But this equipment.
This is newer. Slower than our machines back at the Mesa, but we'll render a host in a few days.
So Ford's been making his own hosts out here and telling no one.
What's the matter?
Have you seen these? What is this, Bernard?
It doesn't look like anything to me.
They cannot see the things that will hurt them. I've spared them that. Their lives are blissful. In a way, their existence is purer than ours, freed of the burden of self-doubt.
I don't understand.
You're a fucking monster.
Am I? Well, you were the one who would so blithely destroy all of them. Even him, I suppose. After everything you have shared.
What the hell are you talking about?
Is that why? Did you tell him to...
The intimacies were your idea, if you will recall. I think Bernard was Glad of the company.
I'm not one. I can't be. My wife. My son. They're real. I was a father. My poor boy.
That's enough, Bernard. Mustn't get yourself worked up. I read a theory once that the human intellect was like peacock feathers. Just an extravagant display intended to attract a mate. All of art, literature, Beethoven, Mozart, William Shakespeare, Michelangelo, and the Empire State Building. Just an elaborate mating ritual. Maybe it doesn't matter that we have accomplished so much for the basest of reasons. But of course, the peacock can barely fly. It lives in the dirt, pecking insects out of the muck, consoling itself with its great